This podcast is not operated by an organization, but is an independent solo project run by me. It costs me considerable time and money to make Copytraders Club, and you can ease that pain by making a small $3 per month contribution at patreon.com/copytradersclub. I've kept the price deliberately low to make it an easier yes, even if you have not previously supported anything in this way. Maybe this time it's different. It only takes 2 minutes to sign up and become an official supporter of Copytraders Club. Patreon.com/copytradersclub. Thanks for listening, and thanks for your support. Copytraders Club, where you can learn how to make better decisions and more money copy trading. I'm Gavin Macaulay, my name and username on eToro. Links to everything, including Discord and Facebook groups, are in the link tree in the show notes. Today we talk to a female popular investor with a passion for personal finance. Here we go. Season 2, Episode 14 of the Copytraders Club podcast, and as always, my aim as an eToro enthusiast and copy trader is to demystify this new and uncharted world of copy trading, understand what are the pitfalls and best practices, and how ultimately to succeed as a copy trader. In chats like today's, the aim is to answer all your questions about this popular investor and reveal more about them than anywhere else, so you can assess whether they might suit you. In this episode, we talk to Minika Douglas, a PI from South Africa, who runs a personal finance YouTube channel called Mind Leaves. Unless I have taken leave of my mind, I can see her beaming smile now as she exits the limousine and jogs daintily up the sweeping staircase. Minika, welkom by Copytraders Club.
Wow, hello there. Dit was uitstekend. Dankie. Dis lekker om hier te wees.
Right, and I fully understand that. Minika, it's great to have you, finally.
It's great to be finally here. Thank you for having me.
It's taken us some time to make this happen. I'd like to formally apologize to you for the first time around where I completely messed up the dates and didn't show up for our arranged time.
No, I got back at you. I'm sorry for that as well, so apology accepted.
Right, well, apologies out of the way. Now let's get you through the security here at the Copytraders Clubhouse by getting you to answer a series of quickfire questions. Ready?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Username on eToro.
Minika Douglas.
Date you joined eToro.
January 21st, 2021.
Date you became a popular investor.
March 17th, 2021.
Year of birth.
1992.
Place of residence.
South Africa.
Profession.
Online teacher.
Briefly state what you aim to achieve on eToro.
Steady continuous growth on my capital invested over the long term.
Name one of your investing heroes.
Graham Stephan.
Name one of your favorite investing books.
The Latte Factor.
That completes the formalities. Let's now proceed into the VIP lounge here at the clubhouse. Minika Douglas, are you ready for this magical transition?
I have been waiting the whole week, Gav.
Okay, Minika, here we are now in the Copytraders Lounge. It's great to finally get you into the inner sanctum.
Wow, it's even better than I expected.
Blown away. I can tell it by your face. Okay, so Minika Douglas.
Yes.
Or as it says on eToro, underneath your name, Wilhelmina Douglas.
Yes, Wilhelmina, that's very good. Yes, that's my birth name. But nobody calls me that. I'll just go by Minika.
And there you are in South Africa. What part of South Africa are you in?
Pretoria. Do you know Pretoria? It's close to Johannesburg.
I know it as the administrative capital, isn't it?
Yes, we have actually 3 capitals.
And Pretoria is the administrative one.
Yes.
Okay, so let me run through what I know of you, Minika, and you can add to this. Okay?
Yes. Let me see what you know.
This all began when you married a genius who had read The Millionaire Next Door. You started taking control of your finances, living according to a sensible budget, and saving the rest.
Mm-hmm.
You've read all the books on financial freedom, and you live with an emphasis on the freedom. After a series of videos about budgeting, steps to financial freedom, finances in a marriage, eToro started to pop up on your YouTube channel, starting with the basics, and then covering your copy trading journey on your husband's account while you were building your own. And that's kind of brought us to today.
Wow. I couldn't even say it better myself. You've done your homework. I should practice that. That's a really nice, compact answer.
For some reason in my mind, I have the picture of you and your new husband or maybe fiance, and you're out on hiking or something, and he starts talking about The Millionaire Next Door. Is that what happened?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. We were 100% broke when we got married. We went on our honeymoon and we went to South Korea after that, and we had literally like not even, I think we had like $400 on our name. But yes, and then we got our first salary and we had some extra cash, and we decided like what we want to do with it. And it started with me not wanting to go back to that job that I really didn't like. And I was like, what am I going to do? Because I need to do something else. But you can't just do anything because you need the money. And then he just introduced me to like, you don't have to have like this $1 million idea. You don't have to inherit all your money or like start this crazy business. You can just like be savvy and be wise with the money that you do have, invest it, save it, live without debt, and you can create a little bit more freedom for yourself. So I think that is essentially how it started and the motivation behind it.
Okay, and you just touched on it there. You were living in South Korea. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was one great experience. It's a great country, beautiful people. So yeah, we lived there. Essentially, we just wanted to go for 1 year, and we were like ESL teachers. But it was such a great experience. You felt like a tourist every morning you wake up. It's a lot safer than our own country. So we enjoyed like the public parks and the public transports, and we just like got away from everything that we're used to. So that really gave us an opportunity to just create our own blueprints of life, like just establish what we want, our own foundation, how we are going to do life, our finances, and etc. So it was really a great experience holistically.
And Korean culture is now beginning to infiltrate the rest of the world, isn't it? With K-pop and all these TV shows and movies and stuff.
K-pop, yes. And they have like, it's such a small country and they're so influential with like their Korean dramas and their movies. Like it's all over Netflix and their pop music. It's very big in Korea as well. But it's actually amazing to see how it can like overflow into the rest of the world as well.
Have you been enjoying any Korean flavored Netflix entertainment recently?
Yes, I've just watched one and I would recommend it. It's a series with just 16 episodes, The Familiar Wife. It's very nice. Go watch it.
It doesn't sound like it's got zombies in it.
It's not zombies, although there are a lot of zombie movies and TV shows. I don't know why they have this thing with zombies.
I watched The Last Train to Busan recently with my wife, and it was absolutely great.
As a zombie movie.
As a zombie movie.
My husband have watched it, but I haven't yet. But it's nice to know it's good. I don't really like the zombie thing.
Well, I took a break from a zombie series called Happiness to watch the zombie movie Last Train to Busan.
Sounds great.
Anyway, let's move away from the undead into the world of the newly born. You're a new mum or a recent mum?
Yes, I am.
First time?
First time.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's been great. Life altering, but great.
How old is your baby?
She's 4 months. 4 months and 2 weeks now.
And you look like you have slept in the last 4 months.
I don't know. We've got an angel. We really have an angel. She's sleeping so well. I don't know why. I don't know why there's so much favor on us, but she's sleeping really well. She's been sleeping through the night from about 8 weeks. So I'm really, really thankful.
Well, you're very lucky that that's the case so far, but I wouldn't go assuming that that's not going to change.
Yes, exactly. Everyone is saying that, so I'm just appreciating the moment.
Very good. And has that changed your attitude towards finance? Are you suddenly thinking, oh, I have to provide for the future for this little cherub?
Yes, absolutely. I think without her, we lived a very savvy, frugal life. And I still think we do, but I've just realized you can't just think about yourself anymore. We can go without a lot of things, right? But there's some basic things that she needs. And I don't think if I'm answering this correctly, but definitely thinking about finances, the future, especially if you want to have another one, you really have to plan for that because they are like a money pit. You can be frugal with them as well. But yes.
I understand what you're saying. With yourself, you can sort of say, well, I don't need this and I don't need that. But they do have certain needs and you don't want to get them substandard stuff.
Yes, you want the best for them, right? So it's this whole evaluating in your mind the whole time. Like, can she go without this? And you just want the best for her in everything. So it's funny to actually see how you change in your way of thinking towards your own child.
Okay, let's talk about how I came across you.
Yes. Yeah, how did that happen?
I think I came across you by looking on YouTube for eToro related content and finding some of your earliest videos.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about your YouTube videos a little bit later when we come on to communication. For now, let's get to know you a little bit better when I ask you, Minika, to tell us something you're very bad at.
Well, I asked my husband that question, and apparently I'm not very good at closing cupboards or closets or anything like that. And I'm like, what? I close doors? He says, no, you never close cupboards and drawers, always open. So apparently I'm not very good at that.
Did you ask him that in preparation for this conversation?
Absolutely. I'm like, what am I bad at? What's my worst habit? He said, you don't close things. It was such a quick answer. I was like, wow, that was fast.
Well, I'm sorry if I started a domestic.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You have to talk about things like this. It has to come out.
Okay, let's take a question from the art of people. Can you give us a number between 1 and 10?
7.
Everyone asks for 7.
Why? That's interesting. My birthday's on the 7th.
It's the number, I think it's probably the most common favorite number between 1 and 10. If you weren't doing what you're doing today, what would you be doing and why?
Wow. See, I need to think about this. I really love what I'm doing. I don't want to choose anything else. Can I give that answer? But let me think. If I have to choose, I would like to be an event manager.
Why does that appeal?
I don't know. I think when I was a little girl, I watched a wedding planner and that was like, oh, it sounds so fun. But I think you work a lot on weekends. So I decided, no, not going to do that.
That's a kind of quite a realistic answer, but if you allow yourself a little flight of fancy into your imagination in an alternate reality, when you were a child, maybe, what did you have dreams of?
I don't want to say it out loud. I always wanted to be an actress. I did drama in school, like from a very young age, and that's what I wanted to be. My mom and dad always asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, famous. That's what I wanted to be. But no, when I grew up, that faded real quickly.
Well, I have to say, I think you bring some of those skills and a sense of theatre to your YouTube videos. You speak really well and you present very well.
Thank you very much. I think it doesn't always come that naturally. I read off a script a lot. I think if I go on and want to talk naturally, I just really go off topic a lot, and I start to babble. So I just okay, no, this is taking too much time in my editing. I'm going to start scripting what I want to say. But thank you for the compliment.
Okay, Minika, you have your portfolio open. Can I ask you to read from your bio the 2 paragraphs of my investment strategy?
My investment strategy is basic and focused on ETFs that produce a good growth yield over the long haul. I try to play it safe and try to keep eToro fees to a minimum. I don't really believe in the get-rich-quick mindset, rather to be intentional with small amounts, and I believe you will succeed in building wealth.
Okay, so as you say, it's not a complex scenario. ETFs, long-term, low fees, keep adding.
Absolutely. That's as basic as it is.
Well, it's quite refreshing to read someone's bio that's saying, look, this is really basic and quite straightforward, and this is my approach. And if you want to be along for the ride, that's it. Because so many other PIs out there are trying to, cast a spell of how wonderful they are and how deep and intelligent their approach is, and unique from everybody else's. Whereas you're keeping it real.
Yeah.
That this is you. You're not trying to be anything other than what you are, it seems. So long-termism, how do you go about getting that across to your copiers?
I think it's difficult. I try to emphasize on that's basically what it is, but I think it's difficult for copiers to stay in a portfolio if the markets are going down a bit. But I think if people, for me, it's an additional, apart from tax-free savings accounts, pension fund, this is an additional contribution to your future, but you have to think about it long term. And I'm not really sure if I can really get it over to them, stick with me long term. I don't think a lot of people do that easily. I think they want to make a quick buck. They want to see growth continuously. And then if they don't see growth with you, they turn to someone else that is showing growth. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly how to bring it across.
Well, I see you repeating it several times, and you also talk about how this is your way of going about things.
Yes.
I think it is just repetition. When I was setting up my Patreon page to allow listeners to support the show for only $3 a month, ladies and gentlemen, they say you have to repeat things because people only hear them when you've said it about 20 times.
Wow. That makes sense.
For example, the listener who's listening to this right now might have subconsciously thought that message was meant for someone else, some unnamed group of others who would ensure the podcast continues. But it isn't. It's meant for the listener, unless they're a first-time listener because they're a fan of Minika, obviously.
Maybe.
Yeah, so yeah, you just have to keep repeating your message, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's exactly what I try to portray. I'm really no one special, and you don't have to be someone special to take charge of your financial future. You just have to be just care enough about yourself and your finances, because I think that's what I want to portray. I'm just a teacher by trade. Don't have this 50 years of financial background, and living in the age we do, there's so much information to your disposal that you can just use. And you don't have to know that much to start, just to start. Take a few action steps to take care of your finances.
So you're telling people just, have a plan, execute the plan, stick to the plan?
Yes, I think that taking action is the most difficult thing. There's so much hurdles, so much obstacles, so much mental blocks that people have before they can start. Just have like a simple plan and execute. You don't have to overthink the plan too much. I think you learn as you go, and I think people tend to forget that. They want to know everything before they start. You're not going to know everything, never. So you might as well just start.
Well, let's have a look at what happened since you started on eToro. You started in January 2021.
Yes.
And in 2021, your annual stat is 20.12. And then, like many people, 2022 has been pretty rocky. And you're currently at minus 13, which isn't terrible in comparison to many others.
Yeah, I've seen some sad numbers. I think in overall, the portfolio is still 7% up. It's just this year, that's a minus 13.
Yeah, it's a sticky time.
Mm.
We'll talk more about your portfolio and your investing approach in the next section and how that has fared in the changing markets since you've been involved. For now, let's keep looking at these sort of headline numbers on eToro. Your risk score looks like a story of two halves of the last 12 months. The first 6 months, you were very much risk score 3, maybe 4 maximum. And then in the most recent 6 months, it's jumping up a little bit, max 5, average 5 for the past couple of months. But nothing huge, as to be expected, I suppose, from having only a number of ETFs in your portfolio. You think your risk score is fair?
I think, in my opinion, the risk scores correlate with market fears. Like when market fears are high, my risk score increases, and when market fears are low, my risk score is lower as well. And through it all, I haven't generally changed a lot to my portfolio. My portfolio generally stayed the same, but the risk score changed. So I think my idea of a risk score does not really occur with eToro's way of assessing it. I think it really just correlates with market fears and market fluctuations. Because I've seen it with my portfolio. It really stayed the same generally, but my risk score went up and down as the markets goes.
Yeah, you wouldn't be the first person to think that the eToro's risk score doesn't really reflect risk.
Yeah. It's just like, how's your growth doing?
Okay, and copier numbers and assets under management, or assets under copy, as they've started saying these days. Copier numbers as of the time of recording is 331. And your copier graph, if I could describe it to the listener, is kind of a long, slow growth followed by a cliff face going up and then a slow decline since. That has editor's choice written all over it.
Yes, absolutely. It obviously gives you a huge boost.
One appearance?
Yes, I've had one appearance, and it's been a really short appearance. It's been like 5 days. I'm like, oh, can I stay a little bit longer? But it was a short appearance. It was one. I think in that late Women's Month, I appeared for a few days, but it was not editor's choice. It was just on the homepage as well. But that didn't really influence the amount of copiers that much.
So tell us what it was like during that time when your numbers rocketed from very low to into the hundreds at least.
Yeah, I had no idea what was happening. I was like, what is happening? I had so many notifications and emails on my emails. But it was quite nice. It was nice to see they feature you, I think. And then I have to take this seriously, and I have to I didn't really never take it seriously, but I was like, okay, wow, people are actually seeing me now. Let's quickly go check everything. Is the bio fine? Am I giving enough information? Is everything up to standard? So it was a nice experience.
And your communications with copiers obviously rose very quickly. A lot of people reaching out, saying hello.
Yeah, definitely. It was quite nice. People asking questions and opinions. So I tried to give opinion, not really advice at all, but just explaining why I'm doing what I'm doing. They would usually ask, because I'm like a ETF portfolio, they would ask opinions on certain other ETFs, why I'm not considering that, or why do I have like a lot of similar ETFs in my portfolio. So we just like redirect them to like previous posts where I explain it in detail, or a video, just give them a short answer. But it was nice to actually have like this interaction on your profile.
So did you say you were on Editor's Choice and also on the Discover page during some female PI promotion?
Yes.
Did that result in you getting an outsized proportion of female copiers?
Not really. I was thinking that it would lead to that, but the majority is not really female. And the time that I've showed on the homepage, I didn't really gain a lot. I think it was also during like really the downward market time, so people didn't really start copying me then. I actually lost a few.
And as a young female PI, have you had to put up with any nonsense from young male would-be copiers?
There were some comments, but I don't think I really had like a lot of uphill drama. You know, the Invest With Her project, I was really involved with that at the time. So then we did some workshops, just like I was just doing a workshop on how I started, and like for beginner investors, like, and just focusing on ETFs, how to choose ETFs and how to invest into them. And yeah, there were some comments, but not that bad, really not that bad. So I guess I'm lucky.
Trades per week and average holding time. Trades per week, 0.46. Average holding time, 8 months. So we're beginning to build a picture of someone who's definitely not a trader. Someone who's, as we will come on to discuss, has a number of ETFs. And when you add to those ETFs, you're not in and out. You're not playing price movements.
No, not really, not at all.
How do you describe it to would-be copiers? Like you're building a steady ship to slowly but surely build wealth?
Exactly. That is my goal with my money. And I think being a trader is a very risky business. And I think you have to be very clued up and very educated in what you're doing. Otherwise, I think you're losing a lot of money, or you can lose a lot of money. So long term, be patient and don't really be influenced by big macro movers, market fluctuations. I just think you give yourself just peace of mind. Like, I'm investing for the long run. Don't put money into it that you need right now. Always have your emergency cash available, because like the volatility will happen. You can expect it to happen, but I'm not going to act into it, because as most historical data shows, usually the markets recover again. So just stick through the bumpy ride.
I've got a question here, which I sometimes ask to PIs, and I just wonder whether it's of any interest. If I ask you to tell us, what does your watch list look like on eToro? Do you have a watch list of ETFs that you aren't invested in?
Not really. I actually have the watch list of the ETFs that I am currently invested into. I had an ETF that I wanted to check out, the VGT one, but it's not here anymore. So I just have my own ETFs on my watch list, and I'm also following a few female investors as well. Neza, Mama Furfur, which is Jennifer Kempson. I learned a lot from her on her YouTube channel in the whole investing game. I really like to watch her content. Do you know her?
Yes, I'm hoping to get her on later in the season. Yeah, we've spoken.
Yeah, like, oh, I love her.
In fact, whenever she started that series of videos with her and her husband, where they would both go on to eToro and they would buy a stock every month, and she started off really well. And I said to her, it's only a matter of time before eToro asks you to be a PI. And she was like, oh, no, it's just a wee bit of fun, me and my husband sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I said, it's going to happen. I guarantee it. And then the next thing you know, she's like, oh, I'm a PI on eToro. And her videos are very good. And
yes.
She's very informative. And
definitely.
She does a lot of the sort of same kind of taking control of your personal finances content as you do.
Absolutely. Yes. And I can relate a lot to her, or I relate a lot to her, because she also has kids, And yeah, it's a lot of the same kind of topics. But yeah, I'm watching her, and she's also on my watch list. And then Heloise, I think she was a big inspiration in the beginning as well, coming from South Africa. So I was like, wow, she's doing so great on eToro.
Do you think one day you will rise to the heights of Heloise?
Wow. I'm not sure. But I'm learning a lot from her.
Okay, let's talk about your videos then, if we consider your communication.
Yes.
Your YouTube channel is your chief means of communication, I suppose, apart from your posts on eToro. Let me describe some of your videos. Well, the camera loves you. You have a very happy, smiley disposition. Good teeth. I don't know why I've written that. You present very well, as I said earlier. And your videos are kind of very well structured and you speak clearly. And they're also very well produced with background music, graphic overlays, comedic cutaways. Great job.
Thank you. Yeah, you learn a lot in your editing skills as you go. Sometimes you're in the mood to be creative, and other times you just want to get it done.
I hear you. Well, there is one thing that drives me mad, though, and it's probably no big deal to most people, and this is relevant to your communication. And you also tell me you're a teacher. You teach English as a second language.
Yes.
So what's going on with the insertion of an apostrophe into the term ETFs?
ETFs? Like the plural?
Yes. Why is there an apostrophe in that every time you write it? Can you justify that? Am I wrong to question it?
It should not have an apostrophe?
That would be my position.
It should not have an apostrophe. I think that's like an Afrikaans, my first language, like a grammar application that you have to do with the S, and an ETFs does not have to have an apostrophe. Wow, Gav. I think I think you are right. I am wrong here. You don't put it with an apostrophe? Really? No one does?
No. An apostrophe, it would indicate either the absence of letters or ownership. And there are some other situations, but I don't think that's one of them.
I think you are right. That was a joke, me trying to be confident in my mistake. But
well, I don't mean to knock your confidence.
It's okay. It's okay. It's still there. It's still intact. But thank you for pointing that out.
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Copytraders Club.
Copytraders Club.
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Copytraders Club.
Copytraders Club.
Okay, Minika, let's turn our attention now to your portfolio.
All right.
I will begin by just describing it in a broad brush kind of way for the listener. As we mentioned earlier, it's an all ETFs portfolio. You have 8 separate ETFs in your portfolio, and that's it. Let's have a quick look at your pinned post, which is a good place for a little bit of detail on portfolio construction. You say 82% of your portfolio is divided into 5 separate ETFs, all of which are kind of US focused. 11.3% is invested in VXUS, which is developed markets like Europe and Asia. 4.8% is invested in emerging markets ETF, and 2% is in TAN, the solar energy ETF. That is still the case, is it not?
Yes.
Going back to your bio, you say this is because you're focusing on long-term low risk. As we discussed earlier, your portfolio has taken quite a hit in recent months. Are you surprised that your basket of baskets didn't hold up better?
Not really. I think it's a global situation that we have here. So I'm not that surprised. I think all markets, literally all markets, took a hard crash. in the past couple of months, or most. I think most of the markets. I'm not sure if all of them did. So I'm not too surprised. I'm actually quite okay with that. Expected that to happen with everything that's going on. But yes, it's not always fun.
It's not always fun, but there are things you can do during these down times. In one of your posts, you quote Shelby Cullum Davis, who says, "You make most of your money in a bear market. You just don't realize it at the time."
Absolutely. I think it's not always easy to throw money in declining markets, but it's definitely opportunity. If you have the guts to throw money in the markets now, I think there's always the most money is made during times like these. I think so. I remember when the markets crashed during the coronavirus, so many people were frustrated because it recovered so quickly. We actually thought it would take a bit longer. And then people were they regretted that they did not put in some more cash at the time, if you have available, right?
Yes, and you have available and you have the guts. You've been adding funds.
I have been adding, but not as much. We're actually saving up for another home. So we're keeping some of our cash, like the majority of it, but we're still like a small percentage, just dollar cost average into it, like into the market, but not as much as I think we would have done in a different time in our lives. But we're saving for a home now, so we're holding on to the cash.
So as I say, I see you've been adding at the end of April to all of your positions.
Yes.
You added funds a couple of months ago, and then you've increased all of your positions on a pro rata basis. So that didn't affect copiers in any way who didn't add funds.
No, it didn't, because I do it on the exact proportion. So my proportions don't really change. So it doesn't affect my copiers. They don't have to add funds if they don't want to. I would encourage them to do if they can, but they don't necessarily have to.
Yes, you do encourage them to do so. You're a fan of advising people to dollar cost average.
Yes, I think dollar cost average is just a proven plan that works throughout history. I'm a big fan. I just think it works. Like trying to time the market, like sometimes you get lucky, but I think most of the time it's luck.
Yeah, just the discipline of putting a small amount of money away. How many times have you read that in all your library of finance self-help books? The discipline of saving and putting it away on a consistent basis really adds up over time.
It really does. And it's just like a muscle that you have to exercise, because it's not easy. I don't think it's easy to just put money away if it's not like an instant gratification or instant results, just to like keep on putting it away. That's why I would say like start as early as possible so that you can get used to like putting that money away, saving. Because if you want to start doing it like at a later stage in your life, like I will do it once I bought my new car, or like if the kids are a bit older, like I don't have money now. I think there will always be a reason, like a good enough reason for you not to save money. It's just something that you have to start doing and get comfortable with as soon as possible, saving and investing.
So how regularly do you add funds as a PI?
Monthly, I try to put it, but there are some times that I put bigger amounts if you look at your own financial situation, but dollar cost average every month.
And every time you do it in the same way, proportionally?
Proportionally, yes.
So that's a very copier-friendly way of doing it.
I think so. When I copied other people, like I have this, okay, I just want to add like this once-off amount. I dollar cost average into other things. And then if I have to add to this copier all the time, you don't really have the funds available, but you will not get all the benefits, the full benefits. It was kind of frustrating for me when I copied other people. So I was like, okay, you don't have to add funds. You can, but it will not influence the structure of your investment.
How long were you copying other people for?
Not that long. And that's something that I would advise other people not to do. I think the longest that I copied someone was 7 or 8 months, which I would not recommend anyone. I was like, copy them for longer periods of time. But then I got savvy with my own investment strategies and just, I learned a lot. So I was like, okay, I'm going to structure my own portfolio. I was learning a lot through copying them. And then I decided, okay, I think I'm going to focus and put my money on my own portfolio for now. If you become a PI, I think it's not allowed to copy other people, or it's not advised.
No, it's not allowed. Although I got an email from eToro asking me, did I want to join the PI program?
Yeah?
On my account where I copy 4 people and have a bunch of cryptos. So I don't know what the heck that's all about. It's obviously just an error. Just to be clear, your eToro record on your Minika Douglas account is all your work.
Yeah.
There's no copying involved in any of that. That was from your husband's account.
Yes.
And who did you copy?
I copied Jeppe Kirkbond, Slow and Steady. I think his name is Patrick Paltinen. And there was another one. I wrote it down here. Jeppe, Slow and Steady. Oh, and Olivier Dadville. See, I'm not a very high risk kind of person.
Well, some people might say you are in having copied Olivier. He's much higher risk than he suggests.
Oh, maybe. It was a long time ago. I'm not sure how his portfolio is looking now.
He's about to leave eToro. Did you know that?
Really? No, I did not. Why?
He made a big announcement that he was also a crypto wizard and people could make untold riches if they came and copied him and opened an account on a different platform. And eToro were like, what the heck are you doing?
Wow. Interesting.
Did he jump? Was he pushed?
I don't know.
Nobody knows, but he'll soon be a thing of the past. The Olivier Danville story is over on eToro.
It's over. Wow. Interesting. Did not know that.
Right. I want you to teach me a little bit about ETFs. I have a fair idea what goes into researching a company. What goes into researching an ETF?
It can be a very intensive process if you want it to be, but I think the way I research ETFs, I basically like the markets. I like the US markets. So to choose an ETF that is invested into US markets. Now there are, it depends on which ETF. There are a lot of companies in this basket full of single stocks, and you don't really have the time to always go through all of them. But I like to look at the top 10 or the top 100 companies, look at it, see, does it have an impact on my life? Do I use it regularly? Do I see how it has an impact internationally around me? If it makes sense to me, it's something that I use. I can see how it can be applicable in the future. Then I like the baskets of single stocks in it. That's the first thing that I look at. And then I like to look at the costs. Usually it doesn't have a lot of costs, or the ETF that I like to invest into. So look, is it passively managed? Is it actively managed? Usually the passively managed ETFs are a bit cheaper, or a lot cheaper. And yes, that's the 2 main things that I look at.
Most of your ETFs are Vanguard. Why is that?
Vanguard was the first, the S&P 500, the VOO was the people that I learned from suggested it, or I'm investing into this. Vanguard is really a well-managed, or it has a great reputation according to me. And a lot of their ETFs are passively managed. And that's why I liked it. It's as simple as that. And eToro had it. And I liked eToro because eToro also has low fees if you are not trading regularly or leveraging.
Okay, if you're buying a bunch of ETFs and you're going to hold them for all eternity and you don't have other ETFs on your watch list, I suppose the natural question someone would ask is, should I copy this person, or why don't I just buy them myself?
That's a good question. I think I usually say for people that doesn't want to spend time on researching on their own for investments, there's a lot of people, like I was some time ago, that's just not interested in investments. It does not interest them at all. They don't understand it at all. So for them to research 8 ETFs, you can do it on your own if you want to. But I won't say I would never add an ETF. I did add the TAN ETF. I'm looking at the VGT ETF, which is a technology sector ETF. So just because I'm not changing it regularly doesn't mean that I'm not like open to adding another ETF. For someone who is not interested in doing their own research, I'm like, okay, this is safe and steady. I will copy this person. I don't want to do the effort on my own.
And what would make you sell one of your positions?
Wow. If something fundamentally changed, like if there's fundamental changes in this ETF, I actually changed the proportions of the developed markets and the emerging markets to a lower proportion in my portfolio because I just saw they're really, really not performing that well for like a long period of time. So I just made their proportions a bit lower, but I did not sell them off. I spent a lot of time and initial research in choosing them for the long term. So if something fundamentally changed about it, I will consider selling it, but not easily.
Let's have a little look at the desync issue. When I toggle between clicking the invested column title and the value column title, I do that to see how much change there is between the lineup as you have it and as a new copier would have it.
Yes.
Sometimes it changes a great deal. Yours hardly changes at all. So I think the only thing that happens is SCHD and VTI, your third and fourth positions, change place, fourth and fifth positions. So that indicates there's not a great amount of desync. And in terms of the difference between the numbers, there's very little at all. The biggest desync, I think, is probably SCHD, but we're talking a very small amount. I guess that makes sense. What's your approach to synchronization?
All right. Just quickly, like the synchronization, like I'm not too aware of the desync issue. Like when you said desync issue, exactly what does it mean? Or what do you mean by the problem?
When you're in your portfolio, you're looking at the difference between the invested column stats and the value column stats.
Yes.
The biggest desync I see is the Charles Schwab position. You currently have 15.81%, and a new copier today would get 13.72% of their portfolio would be in that because there's been a gain. So what has to happen normally with PIs who have individual positions that have risen hugely, they have to trim the position or sell out and buy back to make sure that the portfolios of the copiers and the PI are synchronized. They're not too out of whack.
I understand. Well, I haven't put too much thought into it because, as you've mentioned, the numbers aren't really that big of a difference in my portfolio. So I haven't really have a game plan how to manage that because it hasn't really affected my copiers that much. But I will definitely have a plan or figure out a plan if I see that the numbers are like huge in their gaps.
Okay, so I'm a bit limited in how much I can talk about any positions of particular interest. Let's talk about Charles. Do you want to talk about Charles Schwab's Blue Beauty, what it is? Or
the Charles Schwab, I called it the Blue Beauty because I mainly invested into it for the dividends because it's a dividend ETF. But over the past 2 years, the capital growth on this ETF was the best in my portfolio, which was kind of surprising. And I was really happy for that. And that's why I really like the SCHD, the Charles Schwab, because it really gave me the best performance on both ends. Like it was like bread buttered on both sides.
And then the TAN ETF is your most recent addition?
Yes. And the TAN ETF was just like a personal motivation because it's mainly focused. It's an ETF focused on solar energy and renewable energy. And as we've seen this morning, in my country specifically, we have a lot of blackouts. So I really see how solar energy and renewable energy has an impact on businesses, on like individuals, households. You can just continue with your daily life if you just go off the grid. So I see like there's a big movement, especially in my country. People want to go all solar off the grid. And with that said, it's also very environmental friendly. So it's something that I believe in. I believe it has a big future. I believe the world might be moving a lot more into this direction. And I think that is also a key pillar of investing, something you believe in, something that you see has an impact around you.
And might you purchase other ETFs that are kind of aimed at specific sections of the market rather than index linked, such as TAN?
Yeah, maybe. Definitely. Recently, I took a break from all the research of investing with a baby and so forth, but definitely open to that in the future.
I'm sure there's an ETF around baby-related products. I'm sure you could find that. Ticker BABY.
This is a huge thing. It's a huge, people are making so much money with all this baby stuff. You don't need everything. It's a big market out there. I don't know if you've realized that as well.
I have a question here, which I think you've already answered, which is, do you have a plan for a crash? I'm guessing you're going to say, carry on as normal. Make the best of the low prices if you can. Don't panic.
Am I that predictable? I think so, yes. I think really that's just the aim of the game. That's a strategy that I've decided in the beginning. So the crashes are not supposed to influence you that much. If you have the cash flow, if you have the opportunity to invest in these times, I would just say do that. But I would not panic sell or make fundamental changes.
Has this been your approach from day one? Or how quickly did you get the idea that market crashes are to be ridden through and are all part of the game and represent a good buying opportunity?
How quickly? I'm not sure. Because when I first started, it was really climbing markets for a long time. But I think the books that I've read, especially The Latte Factor and The Millionaire Next Door, in those books, it also has mentioned that, like, just do it for long term because it will fluctuate. It will happen. Like, expect that to happen. Don't be sad. Don't be surprised. Don't be frustrated. Don't panic. Expect it and just use the opportunity to just build on your current investment. So I think actually from very early on, that was really embedded into my mind, which I'm thankful for. Because I think if I panic sold earlier, you can lose a lot of money in that. You can gain as well, but I think it's a bit risky.
Now, the latte factor I'm not familiar with, but I'm guessing the premise is you spend a fortune on this overpriced coffee if only you put that money away and put it to a better use.
Yes, a lot of people have hard critics on, like, oh, I should never buy a coffee in my life again. But no, it's basically as simple as that. It is like a narrative story. So it's not just an informational book. It's like storytelling, which is really nice. And yeah, it was basically just focused on the big impact that small amounts can do over time. Like if you can literally cut out $2 in your day that you spend every day without thinking, and you just do the math, what compounded growth can do over a long period of time. You can retire a millionaire. Anyone can retire a millionaire if they're just like diligent and patient with the money that they do receive, and they are willing to live just below their means. I think in times like this, your debt is a very big thing. People living on credit cards, buying lives or renting lives that they can't really afford is very serious. And I think if you're doing that, you're really killing your own financial future. But if you just live within your means, not even below your means, just within your means and invest regularly, you can really be well off one day.
In case we haven't made it abundantly clear, this is your chance now, Minika, to tell me and the listener, what kind of person should copy you?
I think someone who is in it for the long run, if I haven't made it abundantly clear. And something that I would always say to people before they start copying or they start investing at all is I think most countries have some sort of tax-free savings accounts that you can invest into that will give you like that tax benefit over the long run. So in my opinion, I would always just suggest or advise that you should max out those accounts first and use those vehicles at your disposal for those tax advantages. And then you can copy my portfolio just for another long-term investment. It's like an additional pension or additional long-term investment. An investment that you can withdraw after like a period of 10 to 20 years.
And who shouldn't copy you?
Someone who is looking to make a quick buck, in short, I think.
Or someone who thinks they can do it all themselves. Maybe someone who thinks of themselves as a sophisticated investor or something, maybe.
Yes, definitely. I think it's not rocket science what I'm doing. Anyone can do it. If you're just literally doing a bit of research on your own, you can just do it by yourself as well. If you're not in the mood to spend the time or do the research, I will do it for you. You can copy me.
You mentioned Invest with Her earlier on. Tell us about your involvement with those initiatives.
Yeah, well, it started when I talked to my portfolio manager, and she just said, all right, eToro is really big on empowering female investors and empowering, well, all females actually, because the numbers on eToro or like the proportions between male and female investors are like, there's a big, big gap. So I think they really try to encourage all female investors to become part of the community, to encourage other women, other females out there not to be scared or be like intimidated by this investing world. So she told me like there's some workshops if you want to join it or just become part of it. So I joined the first workshop, and then the second workshop they told me, they reached out and asked if I want to maybe present one as a beginner investor, just like this, average Joe, housewife, mom, teacher, anyone can do that, like to send out that message. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. It's just me. I can just be myself and so share my journey, how I started. And then, yes, that was the first workshop, and we had some live chats on Instagram as well. It's a really nice team, great people. And I really enjoyed being part of that.
What role should you as a PI play in a copier portfolio? And can you describe the ideal portfolio with you in it?
Well, okay, I think there's a lot of elements to this answer. But first, what role should I as a PI play? I think what I try to do with people, or I think the role that I should play is take people along with this educational journey. As I learn, as I educate myself, I try to share what I've learned, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and just take people along this journey with you. That's the first role I think you should play. And the second role, I think stick to your strategy, stick to what you promise people you are doing, because they are copying you for that specific reason. If I go and chop and change my portfolio the whole time, go into the tech sector or try to, do crypto investing, something that I'm not try to go with the trends the whole time. People are copying other people for those things. So just stick to what you are doing. That's why they are copying you. And I think what role I play in their portfolio is the safe, stable markets tick box can be checked. Okay, I have that. There's some room for other volatile or more risky single stocks investments or crypto. You have some room for that if you are copying me.
I saw one of your videos. I don't know if it was about pros and cons, but here are some of the cons of eToro that you listed. Crypto fees. Crypto wallet usage is clunky and restricted. There's no option to automatically reinvest dividends. Deposit and withdrawal rules. Money exits to same place it came from. And trading limitations depending on region. Aside from those, are there any other changes you would really love to see to the platform?
Well, I think I've listed those. Those are some of the research I did just to give people some idea, because I'm so pro eToro most of the time on my platform. I just wanted to just level the playing field. I'm okay, there's some cons. It's not for everyone to use it. So I don't think apart from those, just the one of those that I really want to see eToro maybe do something is I can't reinvest my dividends automatically. Because if you get your dividend payouts, the amount are not always big enough for you to reinvest it. Then you have to add funds to invest into that asset again. It really takes away the whole concept of compound growth. So that's the main thing. I don't really invest a lot of cryptos on eToro anymore. So that's not really affect me that much. But I think people have a lot of like opinions or needs that eToro can fill in terms of the crypto section. But for me, I think the biggest one is the dividend payouts. How about you? What do you really want to see change?
Oh, I have too long a list. We don't have
really?
time to go into it. I mean, I'm very pro eToro as well, of course.
Yeah.
Let the record show.
Yeah.
Okay, what other PI would you say you know best on a personal level? Have you already mentioned her?
No. I actually know another PI on a personal level. He's not that big yet. He goes by RT Investing. His name is Rian Now. Now, he's actually a close friend of ours. And he initially was one of the biggest influences. And he really taught me a lot about the investing world. He introduced me to eToro. So I learned a lot from him as well. Rian Now, RT Investing. He lived in South Africa as well. They are currently in Korea.
And that's someone you know personally, from real life?
Yes. We actually barbecue together. Well, we call it in South Africa. Braai. Yes, we braai. No, he's a very smart guy. He also has a YouTube channel. He's really sharing great content there as well.
That's great, because normally when I ask people, they've never met another PI.
In person.
Yeah, that often happens. Okay. We're very near the end here. In fact, this could be the final question, Minika.
Yes.
What question do you wish I had asked you during this chat that I didn't?
Wow.
You can take some time to think about it.
I have no idea what question. I think one thing that I would really like to get across about me is that I'm really, really no one special, just someone who is passionate about their own financial future. And I want to encourage anyone that they should do that as well. I don't think they're inferior or feel inferior to this investing world, and just go in for the long run. Don't be too scared of market fluctuations or big macro movers. Keep your head down and stick in it for the long run. That's what I'm doing. And it's really not that stressful.
Well, fantastic. I mean, I think that's very much your consistent message, talking to you, your videos, your profile. It's not a complex story, but it's an effective one.
Maybe. I hope so. It doesn't have a lot of bells or whistles. It's just simple and plain.
Simple and plain it may be, but you might well do better in the long run than these hyper complex portfolios that you see sometimes on eToro.
I think so. I hope so.
All right then, Minika, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you so much for dropping by the Copytraders Clubhouse.
It was amazing to be here. Thank you for having me.
We had lots of technical difficulties, but we somehow managed to get it done.
I still can't believe it, but I'm thankful.
All right. All the very best and good luck in the future.
Thank you, Gavin. It was so nice to speak with you. Same for you.
Minika Douglas there. All Minika links are in the show notes. We had a couple of false starts to make this chat happen, and then electricity and internet issues throughout. But just for you, listener, we persevered to make it happen. Hope you appreciate it. Patreon.com/CopyTradersClub. That's all from me. See you on Discord and Facebook. Until next time we meet at Copytraders Club, I wish you many happy returns. Obviously, anything here in this podcast is for entertainment only, no financial advice. Do your own research. This is just generic chit chat. We don't know your individual circumstances, etc., and so forth.